So welcome to everybody who's shown up. I'm so happy to see you all here. And this is really fun for me. Okay, so for those of you who know me, you don't really need an introduction, but it's a free call, which means a lot of times there's people who come to the call. It's a gifted call for the community. That means a lot of times people who come don't necessarily know me. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction. The name of this call is your animals, your teachers, your guides, your healers, the ultimate empaths and intuitives. And I want to say that the purpose of this call is to help and support the animal kingdom. And this is particularly for people who want to be of higher and better service to animals, whether it's your animal companions, whether it's the collective of animals that live on Earth, whether you work in a not-for-profit organization as a volunteer, whether you're a healer who works with animals or a reader, an intuitive who works with animals, or if you work with clients who have animal companions, or if you're a dog trainer. I have a lot of people who are trainers in my community. And whatever your capacity is, if it's just for your animal companions, that's great. If you're a light worker who works with animals energetically, if you work one-on-one with animals, whatever the capacity is, the purpose of this call is to help us to help animals better and to understand the role that animals are playing on Earth. And yes, I am going to make you an offer if you want to do this in a more professional capacity and expand your abilities and your talents and your gifts so that you can be of service to animals in a higher and better way, whether that's your animal companions or animals you work with professionally in some capacity, even veterinarians. A lot of vets do tune into my stuff. And that makes me happy, right? Because we're even making it into more mainstream markets, that means. That is the purpose of this call, really how we can help animals better. And yes, I am going to make you an offer if you want to expand on what you learned today. We're going to be focusing on helping animals by understanding them better, understanding their unique mission and purpose on planet Earth. And that is not just through telepathy. Really, their mission and purpose has to do with energy and consciousness. So, and most humans on the planet are really, really unaware of how this works. So that's what we're going to be addressing today. So thank you for being here. And the length of our call will probably be about no longer than 2 hours, right? I say, sometimes I say 60 to 90, and then I go over. And I do want to hopefully I plan on taking some Q&A to do readings and support for you individually too. But let's get into the flow. Let me briefly introduce myself for people who are new. My name is Lori-Ann Spagna. My work and mission on planet Earth has been to expand consciousness, alleviate suffering, and expand the greater good of humanity through sharing consciousness, expanding our consciousness, and really elevating our frequency through the process of energy, telepathy, intuition, intuitive development, channeling, energy work. And I have a huge toolkit of lots and lots of tools I use in the non-physical realm. But all of this started from one simple thing, was that I loved animals. And I had a mantra for 20 years that I wanted to be of service to animals on a global scale. And I never knew what that was. I was volunteering in organizations around the world with animals. I was traveling around the world. I became a dog trainer when I finally had the guts and courage to leave a miserable job that was 20 years of working, the slave system on the hamster wheel of the corporate America job. And as I became a dog trainer, I started to hear animals talking to me. I started to hear the dogs. And then I branched out even beyond that by really learning to really listen to them and tune into what it was they wanted to share and become their student. And through the process of becoming their student, I just never knew where it was going to bring me. I had no idea where it would eventually bring me to be a healer, a channel, an intuitive, a psychic, an energy worker, an ascension guide. It was like they taught me and propelled my future forward. So anyway, now I've been doing that professionally for well over 10 years now. And The animals have so much to teach and share. They really are our teachers. And it's interesting that one of the things we're going to cover today is what we can do, every person can do effortlessly to dramatically improve life on planet Earth for animals. And the one thing we're all doing wrong, not all of us, but most of us are doing wrong, not to make us wrong, but it's a 3D concept. It's like people living in the physical reality just don't know this because they are not yet completely tuned into energy. So if you're new to this stuff, stay with me, because some of it's going to be out there and esoteric. If you're really progressed and you're a light worker, a healer, and intuitive, a lot of it will just add to what you know and hopefully supplement what you know. So, okay, so with that, let's start with this thing. Do you know that over 50% of the human population, over 50%, will call themselves animal love, well over 50% animal lovers, but over 50% actually have an animal companion who lives with them, regardless of the type of animal companion, or maybe it's a horse or someone who lives on their property, but they consider their animal to be a companion and a friend, a family member. Over 50% of the population. And interestingly, over almost the entire population of them, way over 90% of the population actually eats animals. So this means somewhere in our consciousness, we're a little skewed on what it means to love animals, right? We love animals, but we eat them. This is not about vegan, vegetarianism, or promoting any of that. It is to expand our consciousness about what we consider love. Now, the idea is that what we've perceived to be love in our reality does not always match up with what love really is. And we're learning about that as a collective, as humanity. And I will say that through my experience in communicating telepathically with animals and working with them energetically, is that the one thing that they've got down is love. They all, as a whole species, they've got this one down. And, you know, those of us who are animal lovers, we know we love them. So we get that. And we know, you know, if you've ever lost an animal companion, or if you have an animal who's crossed over, you know that the love cannot be measured by the body that they're in. That the love you can have for an animal your experience of that love can go way beyond an experience of love, even with a human potentially. It's not limited to the type of body that someone's in. And that's because our animals love us. We know that our animal companions love us unconditionally, and they accept us unconditionally. And that's, for many of us, our primary experience, or sometimes our first experience of true unconditional love and acceptance, right? And the animal kingdom has that for us, even if we might not understand it or perceive it, and even if it's an animal who we might consider to be, you know, an animal that could potentially cause us harm in the physical world, like a lion or some predator type of animal, snake or something. Nonetheless, as a collective, the animal species has already mastered unconditional love and acceptance. And the human species is just learning that overall. So here's the thing about animals that I've come to see, is that what they're doing is teaching us a universal language that we actually already speak, but we don't have it fully incorporated. They're teaching us a language of energy. And this language of energy is the new language of humanity that we're evolving into. It's no longer going to be just words that we verbally communicate. It's going to be that all of humanity is speaking a language of energy, and that everything that we do is going to be based on energetic exchanges. So animals, they practice telepathy. What's telepathy? Brain to brain, right? Telepathy is brain to brain exchange of information. By definition, that is what telepathy is. But that is not the only form of animal communication. Animal communication also incorporates energetic exchange. So if we're feeling something, there's an energy emission coming from us. We're emitting a kind of feeling, whatever it is, whether it's stress or anxiety or upset or worry or fear or doubt or disbelief or concern, those energetics tend to be living vibrationally compatible in ranges that are compatible with fear, fear-based energy. I'm worried, I'm upset, I'm stressed, I'm fearful, I have anxiety. And that range of energy is emitting from us. And on the flip side, the polarized side, right? Many of you probably heard me say this stuff. We might be feeling energies that are more aligned with peace or love. I'm excited, I'm optimistic, I'm enthusiastic, I'm looking forward to something, I'm happy, I'm joyful, or I'm at peace. And those are fifth dimensional energies, the new reality. Those are energies that our animal companions naturally vibrate in harmony with. They naturally are holding those. The thing is that they're interacting with us and they're living with us and they feel what we feel and whatever we're emanating. So whatever experience we're experiencing, they're experiencing it too. And it's the same thing if you've ever stood near someone who's really stressed out or full of anxiety, if you're near them a lot, or if they're depressed, you start to feel it. You do. You start to feel like after time, you're like, you don't even know if you can hang out near that person too much because it just brings you down, right? Not that you don't love or care for them. And same thing when you're around people who are happy and excited and enthusiastic, that rubs off and it feels good. And we share that. So, our animals are super sensitive to that. And they feel that when we're around us. They are the ultimate empaths in this way because they're already fully anchored into a fifth dimensional frequency, even if they're passing through other dimensional experiences. This lingo might sound a little confusing to some people, but stay with me. So the idea is if we understand that animals are already primarily resonating in these frequencies of peace, love, joy, acceptance, unconditional, without any reservation. That's who they are. And if we, as humans, are not typically vibrating there, because the reality of where we live and how we live is we're multitaskers and we have a billion responsibilities and a billion things we've put on our plate and we've created in our lives to distract us or keep us busy or entertain us or entangle us, if it's paying bills or getting a job or whatever it is, having a relationship, finding a love partner, dealing with a sickness and illness, whatever that is, those things bring us out of vibrational range with who we truly are. The animals are holding that space for us energetically. That's their mission. And it doesn't matter if they don't live with us. Pardon me for a second. I'm going to have some holiday coffee. It doesn't matter if they don't live with us. Like animals in the wild are doing this too, whether we know it or not. So if they live in a geographical area, they're holding a vibration for that area. They're doing something in that geographical area as a species or subspecies. So a really good example, whales and dolphins are holding vibrational frequency for the waters to elevate the frequencies of the waters. This is commonly known. I think it's commonly known. And their high-pitched echolocation, their high-pitched frequencies alleviate and elevate the frequencies of the water to keep the waters clean, to purify the energy of the water. So this is part of their divine mission, right? So again, it doesn't matter if they're wild animals. They still have this mission of restoring humanity to consciousness through the use of energy and, yes, telepathy. So telepathy is brain to brain, and everything else is basically for them some form of energy vibration. And again, as I've just explained, they're empaths, sensitives. They feel what's in their environment and they sense it. And so if we're disconnected from our sensory body, which most people are because we've been conditioned to believe that the only senses we have are 5 little ridiculous senses, sight, taste, touch, sound, and what's the 5th one? Taste, touch, sound, sight. What am I missing here, guys? Taste, touch, sound, sight, hearing. That's it. Did I get them all? Hearing. Okay, so we've been conditioned on a planet to think we only have 5 senses. If you're in the 3rd dimensional reality, you think there's nothing beyond those 5 senses. Anything beyond those 5 senses is woo-woo. The animals are here with a divine mission to help humans to wake up, that there's something way beyond the 5 senses. That's the universal language of energy, an energetic exchange, because they're the ultimate empaths. They're feeling and sensing everything in their environment, no matter who they're near, and to the best of their ability, through their unconditional love and acceptance, they are trying, in a sense, to transmute that. In a sense, sometimes they take it on in a way to sponge it out of their human, in a sense. Sometimes they might be in their state of happiness and joy, where they're radiating out their happiness and joy to share it with their human. And again, this is animal companions I'm speaking about, but it happens all over the planet. Again, referring to whales and dolphins as a good example. Okay, so I hope this is making sense to everybody. But this is overall, this is the divine mission of animals globally. And if you understand that all animals have this as a collective intention for humanity, to help humans to understand energy, because that's what we're evolving into, then what you can also understand is that every subspecies has smaller collective intentions. So if you want to look at a farm animal like cows, cows have sub-collective intentions. And if you want to look at a wild animal like elephants, they're a good one. They have a sub-collective intelligence. Pigs have a collective, and their intelligence as a sub-collective can be communicated to as a group, as a whole. You can actually connect with them. So, okay, I hope this is making sense. Now, in order to help them, really help them to help, because they're here helping us. Their mission is to help us. And this is the reason I referred to, by the way, the reason I referred to humans eating animals as this is a little confusing for us. Like, we love them, but we eat them, we slaughter them. What's up with that? Is to help humans to understand that we as a species, we're starting to learn what love really means. If I love, can I honestly say that I love animals and then eat them? I mean, that's for each of us to evaluate. Can I honestly say that I love animals and then sit on a planet where they're being treated as, I don't know what the words are to say, so inhumanely, and participate in that consciously? Can I honestly sit back? And this isn't just about animals. I mean, you could take that perspective to the greater, collective. And I think if you define yourself as a light worker on this planet now, which most of us, if you're in my community, you do, then you're already evaluating these things. The purpose is to start to look at, like, what are these animals really doing here? Why are they even kind of tolerating this from us? Why are they accepting this from us? And of course, they're unconditionally accepting, unconditionally loving, trying to help us to learn. So if you can embrace that point of view, which is already a pretty advanced point of view, because if you listen to 3D people in the 3rd dimensional reality who still are just only believing in these 5 senses as real, then a lot of times they make comments, you always can hear they make comments that are very sort of passively saying things like, well, even animals, like it's a referral to animals, like they're subspecies to us, subservient to us, beneath us. And I even watched a recent video with, what was his name? That, I don't know how it popped on my screen. It was one of those older gentlemen who teaches law of attraction. I can't remember his name. Very famous, well-known older gentleman, white hair, good guy. But all of his stuff is kind of like regurgitated stuff. It's not like psychic, intuitive stuff, but he teaches all this evolutionary kind of stuff. Anyway, he was saying something like, we are the most evolved animals on the planet. And it's like, well, no, you really don't know, do you? You really, I can't listen to you anymore because you don't know what you're talking about, even though you're teaching all this progressive stuff. This is the point. If we don't start to recognize that there's something for us to learn from them, then we're missing out on so much valuable valuable content. And I think this is the overall mission that animals have. They have something to offer us, something fabulous and valuable to expand our consciousness and to help us to evolve. So that's the first thing to really get here, because even though we want to help them, we think we want to help them, the truth is, this was the first lesson I got from animals, was that if I wanted to help them, I was going to have to become their student. So that's what I'm communicating here. Like when I was hired by a dog trainer after, for those of you who know my story at all, after spending 20 years in corporate America, I finally kind of bit the bullet because I knew I wanted to be of service to animals on a global scale. I was volunteering around the world. I was working with animals as a volunteer, and I wasn't fulfilled by that. I wanted to do something more. So I quit my job and I got hired by this dog trainer who had spent 20 years training service dogs for the United States government at Lackland Air Force Base. And for the first year that I worked with him, it was constant, like, well, the first month we weren't even allowed to work with dogs. We were being videotaped and critiqued and tested and retested. And then for the first year we were being under his tutelage, it was like constant supervision and testing, retesting, videotaping. We had to do everything on automatic pilot without thinking. So that made me have to empty my mind to do something on automatic pilot without thinking. And that's when, through that process, I could hear their thoughts. And that's when the dogs would say to me, you have to listen to me and become my student, and I will teach you. So I think that's the first thing, is we have to learn sort of how to empty our minds, which is right there now. You've reached an impasse here in a sense, because how do we empty our minds? We don't even know how to get quiet. It's like even in meditation circles, that one of the biggest challenges for people is, how do we empty our minds? And when I teach meditation, I don't teach people to empty their minds. That's not usually what I teach. When I teach animal communication, I start to teach people that. When I teach people vibrational energy, I start to teach people that. But meditation, it's like too hard to get people to try to empty their minds, just to meditate. So, all right, let me table all that now. And let me come to some of the most profound, before I do that, I want to tell you some of those profound experiences in telepathy and animal communication of what animals have taught me, to get very specific. But before I do that, I want to ask you guys to consider, what do you think is the one thing that humans do, spiritually minded animal lovers included, especially, and even more, especially animal lovers? If you've listened to me before, you probably have heard me say this, but what do you think is the one most harmful, most devastatingly detrimental thing that we do, thinking that we help animals, that actually hurts them more than anything else? I'm going to give you a moment to reflect on that. I wonder if I put my chat, if you enter that in the chat. Bob Proctor, yes, you got the names. That was who I was referring to, Bob Proctor. He thinks that animals are subservient. Still, in a recent video, okay, I don't mean to call him out, I'm sorry, because he's a good guy. He has a lot of good, wonderful things to offer, but he just doesn't get it about animals. He thinks they're subservient. Okay, does anyone want to enter in, we scold them? Someone put in, we scold them. Who else wants to enter in what you think is the one thing that we do that is most harmful, most detrimental to animals, that we think we're helping them? We think we're helping them. Neuter them? Okay, no, that's not it either. Scolding's not it. Zoos, not it. Remove them from their mothers? That's not it. All those things are not good. You're right. Pity them? That's getting closer. Guilt trip? That's an interesting one, but no. We want them to be who we want them to be? That's a good one, but that's not it. We don't take care of ourselves first. That's a really good one. Is that Grace? I don't know if I know you, Grace, but that's a good one. We don't take care of ourselves. It's a really good one. We speak to them like they're babies. No, that's definitely not it. I talk to my dog sometimes like she's a baby. Humanize them? Nope, that's not it. Make them humanized? That's not it. Okay, I'm going to tell you. Ready? And I know a lot of you don't do this. So I'm not saying everyone does it. I'm saying it is rampant in the communities of of animal lovers. Let me even just take the word spiritual out. It's rampant. It's rampant in not-for-profits. Oh, it's huge. Don't listen to them. That's a good one too. No, but here's what it is. Put them in shows. That's a good one, but no. Here it is. Ready? Here is the thing that you guys have all been wondering. And for anyone who works in a not-for-profit, this is going to be a buzzer. You know, sometimes we get triggered by these things. We show pictures and images and share news of all the horrible, terrible things that are happening to animals on the earth. That is the single worst thing we do, to hurt animals. Here's why. And I got this from the animals, right? This is not my idea. Like, I never got it. I would not have guessed that. This is communication from the animal kingdom. What we do is many people, now it's not as much for people who are really evolving, like we're waking up as light workers, we're realizing that this is not a good thing to do. So we don't do it as much, but it really happens a lot in the 3D world, where we are seeing a picture of some horrible thing done to an animal. It's posted somewhere on Facebook, or, I mean, have you seen those commercials from ASPCA with Sarah McLachlan singing the song "In the Arms of an Angel," and your heart just starts to break? This is a perfect example of what actually hurts animals more than anything else. Here's why. Because the people who don't care about animals, they don't care. They don't care. You can't convince them. They don't care. The people whose hearts aren't open in 3D, they're living only from a left analytical brain. Their hearts are shut down. They haven't opened the heart center yet. Doesn't mean they don't have the capacity. It's just that's 3D. Your heart center's shut down. You have to open your heart center. That's why when you go through ascension, your heart gets flutters, right? Because your heart's opening. Okay. The people who care are the animal lovers. So they see that pain that's being shown to them, and now they get sad, and they go into sadness and grief and upset. And what does this do? This radiates out from them, us. I've had pictures come in my Facebook. Now I've unfriended anyone who puts that stuff. I don't even have to know them. If they put anything cruel or harmful about animals, I unfriend them immediately. But I've seen that stuff, and I've gone into like balls of like crying, you know, hours of crying, because I cannot, the pain of it is so overwhelming for someone who's so sensitive. And that's how I learned this, because the animals would say, you have to stop looking at that. You cannot, that is not helping us. That is so harmful to us and so detrimental to us. So an animal lover is sharing these things thinking, if you just wake up and see what's being done, somehow someone will change it. The people who don't care don't pay attention to it. And the people who do care add to the pain because it hurts us. Can you see that? So it becomes incredibly important for us as conscious beings to realize that if we want to help animals, the single most important thing that we can do to help animals effortlessly is to start sharing the good news. Like, if you're in a not-for-profit, start sharing all the wonderful things that are happening for animals. If you start hearing about something good and helpful, like, for example, in Tonga, the country of Tonga, they basically declared whales to be having the same rights as human citizens. They made whales citizens. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that so fabulous? I mean, that makes me so happy. Now, even as I'm sharing that, you can see that made me happy. And I bet that is affecting you guys right now. Someone's writing, that's amazing. That makes us, now that is the energy that creates greatness for animals. That helps animals. So this is what I'm saying. This is the single most important thing we can do, is to start sharing that. When you start hearing about, for example, okay, I'm not a big fan of Purdue, but now Purdue, this guy, whoever it is, the guy who's the figurehead, he's now on TV making commercials saying, we have the largest humane treatment of chickens. Okay, well, that's because he had to change to keep his business alive. and because he's the largest chicken farmer. But still, it's good news. Good news for chickens. At least small progress, right? So woohoo! I'm happy for that. He's still crap in my book in a sense, but in another sense, woohoo! Chickens are finally being treated better. They're getting more free range. Woohoo! More people are buying eggs that are, you know, from free range chickens. Woohoo! That's good news. That's what the animals are asking us to share. Okay, I'm making a big stink out of it. Right, if he's telling the truth, maybe he's lying, but still, even if he's lying, at least he's expanding the consciousness that, oh, you see, people get affected by that. They watch that and they're like, oh, that's a good thing. So that affects the quantum field of intelligence, affects humanity's consciousness, and then creates more of what we want. And this is what the primary message is from animals, as I understand it and as I'm translating it, that basically is that they're asking us to focus on what we're doing that helps them and focus on how things are getting better for them and share more of those kinds of stories that are uplifting, not even the ones that make you cry and then end up happy, because that's still pinging a sadness. Oh, this poor thing that's happening to animals, but oh, at least it happened and ended up nicely. Like that. Still not good enough for them, in a sense. Better, but not what they're really asking us to do. Because why is this? The overall mission is to help us become conscious of how energy works. This is how energy works. If we share something that's upsetting, just to tell somebody this is upsetting, look at this horrible thing, it doesn't really help. It just creates more things that are upsetting. So, okay, I hope that makes sense. I love your comments on the chat. So, all right, I hope that's helpful. So that's something you can do if you're an animal lover, just by sharing, like, even if you share your own story, like, I switched to raw food today for my dog. Or like, I have a lot of clients who, well, not so much a lot anymore because I've not been taking on new clients anymore, but I have some clients that still share about that, how them converting and changing their animal diet, their animal companion's diet has really helped their animal. And they put pictures of that on Facebook or social media. That's a great example. Every time you're sharing about some positive change, that's really helping animals. And that's helping the greater collective. Now, that does not mean for us to be in denial. I am not a proponent of denial at all. I never suggest that we stick our heads under the carpet and pretend those other things are not happening. What I suggest is that when you learn about those things, or when you want to change something, you bring that to a healing circle, or in my case, we do sacred government calls, sacred government group calls, where we create the future that we want. We put that into the quantum field. We're using divine intelligence to change and shift and morph reality into what we know is for the greater good of all beings. You can take your wounding, the things that are upsetting you about what's happening to animals, and you can heal it and resolve it. I use the word heal, but really you're transmuting it energetically so that you're no longer giving your life force to it. Yeah? Okay, I hope this makes sense. And certainly you can be, oh, that is great news. Susie just wrote that she thinks in Florida they might have stopped greyhound racing. If that is true, that is awesome news. That's the kind of thing when we do sacred government calls, you know, we can put it into the intention that all animals, I mean, I've been intending this for a long time, all animals are freed and liberated from detrimental situations, especially where humans are using them for entertainment, profit at their expense, meaning the animal's expense. It's not meant, they should not be used for our expense, you know? And I understand the concept of eating animals because people believe that they really need them for their body. And these are all programs. This is going to get a little esoteric for a moment, but our brains are programs like computers. And if there's a program on the computer saying you need animals to survive, your body needs animals, your body only prospers and does well if you eat animals. If that program is running, of course it's going to be true. But understand the program can be easily rewritten, as I've rewritten my own too. I love beans so much. I eat beans. I eat beans all the time. I love beans so much. They make me so happy. In fact, I think I saw SJ. I see SJ on the call, and I know SJ and I had a really fun conversation. It was fun for me in Arkansas when I did the Arkansas Crystal Grid, and I was saying how much I love beans. I eat beans all the time. They make me so happy. I love beans because I reprogrammed myself to want my primary protein. I eat beans 5 nights a week. I love them so much. They make me so happy to eat beans. If I don't eat beans for a few days, I get unhappy. I'm like, I haven't eaten any beans. My body needs some beans because they're non-animal, right? And I wanted to not have to eat animals. So, okay. And believe it or not, I mean, for some people, this might be really pushing the envelope, but a lot of humanity is evolving into choosing to become more breatharian, which just might push the envelope for some people, but breatharian is where you start to work with chi or energy, life force of prana to fuel yourself and nurture yourself. And that is real, not have to eat. And I've been working on that over the past years, kind of preparing myself. Some people are already using sun gazing, which is the power of the sun of God to fuel the body. And that is also possible. More and more people are becoming juicearians, which is also, you can survive through that easily. So our bodies are shifting and morphing, and we can reprogram our consciousness. We don't have to continue to eat animals. I will say that for those of you who are really progressive, that is a reptilian program. So, okay, I know that's very progressive. So maybe not everybody's entirely ready to hear that, but if you're open to understanding that, you can ask more. Okay, so our animals aren't quite there yet, right? Because our animal companions are still, some people are asking, I think, about that. Our animals who eat meat. I do still feed my dog meat. I feed her. You can go, by the way, I suggest you go to my YouTube channel and look for the video on what to feed your animals. It's a really good 20-minute video in my kitchen where I have everything out on a counter and I'm like, this is what I feed my dog. This is what I feed my dog. This is what I recommend. And I really recommend you watch that because I do still feed my dog animal product. The animal brand, the brand that I choose does say humanely raised. You know, we can, to some degree, we do have to trust it's 100% all organic, grass-fed, raw animal food that I give to her. This conversation isn't so much about all that, so I'm not going to go down that route. But I think our animals are morphing too, and that's taking time as well. Over time, they're morphing as well, but I don't think that they're quite there yet. Yeah. So okay. So let's get back to the conversation. So I hope this helps you to understand something you can do right away, effortlessly and easily to help animals globally. And just by understanding this concept of energy and consciousness, as you understand how energy and consciousness works, you're also able to help animals more because you see, telepathically, they're picking up all of our thoughts. And when we learn how to tune into their thoughts and exchange this information in a conscious way, telepathically, we can help them even more. We can learn from them by becoming their students and sharing and assisting them in their divine mission to help humanity, right? By learning telepathy and by understanding energetics of how they tune in and exchange energy. So I'll give a brief overview and then I want to share some amazing, amazing stories of some of the ways Brenda, I see your question about what to feed cats. Go to YouTube or watch my YouTube video because it's a 20-minute video. Search it out. Just search Lori Spagna, what to feed your pets. It's such a good video. I swear if you change your pets' diets to what's in that video, they will get so healthy so fast. Okay. Sorry, I have an itch on my nose. All right, so where was I going? Okay, I want to share some amazing stories of what animals. I was going there, but there was one other thing I was going to say. Understanding telepathy, I'll give you just this overview, and then I want to share some amazing things that animals have shared with me, some incredible stories. So the overall thing to understand about animal communication and telepathy and energetic exchange is that we humans have been functioning primarily from our left analytical brain. I mean, anyone who's listened to me, you've heard me say this before. our left analytical brain. We analyze, we figure things out. We're trying to make sense of things. We're calculating in our brain. He said, she said, I said, he did, I did. No, when you said that, I said that. We're going over things, but it's all left-brained, right? Now, animals are primarily more right-brained. So the animals, it's amazing that somebody got the Bob Proctor thing. I'm just so amazed that somebody knew that. Anyway, that's very cool. Anyway, okay, so the animals are more right-brained. Of all the species of animal, which we're animals too, animals are more right-brained. Humans are more left-brained. All other animals are more right-brained. So the right brain is the brain that only starts to get utilized when you use it when you sleep, because you're in a dream state, you're not analyzing things. And you use it when you go into meditative states. But most people, when they first start going into meditative states, they typically will initially fall asleep because the right brain starts to get activated. And what happens? They can't hold left brain awareness with right brain awareness, left brain intelligence with right brain consciousness. So they go to sleep. That's often what happens. The animals are typically there. What is the right brain? It's a sensory brain. It's extrasensory. So it's aware. It doesn't have to figure it out. It doesn't have to say, oh, that feels stressful. It just knows. My human's stressed. Right? Watching myself on screen. You know, it's like, oh, my human's joyful. Oh my God, like my dog. I don't know where she is right now. She's probably in the other room. She always knows whenever I'm teaching or doing a class, it's like she just doesn't bother me. She's like, oh, she's working. It's work time. She knows what the time is. But the moment I'm done, something happens in my physiology when I'm done doing something like this where, oh shit, I'm 45 minutes in, okay. Where something shifts in my energy field. I know I was just of service. I know I just either taught or did a healing. I feel good. I just did service. It makes me happy. I just taught or I shared consciousness. I'm happy. And now some part of my energy is liberated because I've done my service. I've fulfilled my mission. And I start to feel good. I move away from the computer or phone, if it is that, and somehow she tunes into it. She comes right up and she's ready to receive love. It's like before I'm even done. Why is that? She's energetically sensing and she has an awareness. It's not just her right brain, by the way. It's because she's in that open-hearted state. So that's the third part I want to talk about. The big picture is we're primarily left brain. They're already right brain, extrasensory, aware. They know what we are trying to figure out with our left brain. They don't have to analyze it and label everything, but they're also already really wide open here, as we mentioned. So that means they already feel. This is the magnetics center. This is the electrical center. And this is electrical. We know our brain is electrical. Our thoughts are electrical. This is magnetic. Our hearts are sensory magnets. So when I'm in a state of like, oh, I was just of service, I did a really good job, I'm so happy, okay, I'm done with my work, now I get some fun time. She feels that, it's vibrating out for me. She's picking up on it, and she's like right there as soon as I'm done, right? So, and you know that happens with your animals. So, okay, so this is how they're communicating, and then there's other ways, but here's the key thing to understand. We all have this ability, animal communication, telepathy, extrasensory abilities. It's not anything we don't have. Everybody has a right brain. Everybody has aspects of the brain, right? In the spiritual centers, we call this our third eye, but it's your master glands in your brain, right? Pineal gland, pituitary gland. And we know they're being shut down by artificial foods, genetically modified foods, fluoride in the water, diet soda, the pink, yellow, blue packets, and now they made them pretty in green packets to kind of, I don't know, make you think it's more natural. Those have artificial sugars that are how far do I want to go with what I'm about to say? Okay, well, I think it's well known that there's a conspiracy, right? And that is to shut down the brain. So they're giving away free like candy in every coffee store, everywhere else you could possibly use it, to basically shove it onto humanity because it shuts down the brain. That's also why fluoride was put in the water. Okay, irrelevant. You don't have to go into conspiracy on this, although I'm a truther. So those things are shutting down these master glands. Sugar, the greatest addiction on the face of the planet is sugar, even more than all the other white stuff like cocaine and crack, which are also processed the same way white sugar is. Shut down the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. This is what allows you to have telepathy. So it's very easy to open these in meditative practices and with someone who's a healer or someone who understands how to open that energy center. By the way, another important part is telepathy, right? What is telepathy? Is a frequency. It's happening from a brainwave frequency. So most people right now are just accessing, right now where if you're listening and you're awake, I hope you are, you're using your beta brainwave, active, awake, alert, aware, right? That's what in 3D everybody's using. It's a left analytical brain. But you have to tune yourself into being able to access other brainwaves because the animals are not communicating on a beta brainwave. That's an analytical brainwave that's associated with the left analyzing brain, and they don't use that as much. That's not where you're going to communicate telepathically. So part of becoming a really good animal communicator is to be able to develop the ability to access other brainwave frequencies where they communicate. And most animal communicators are teaching you to go into a meditative state, get into an alpha brainwave, and just get whatever you get. I personally find that to be very ineffective, but that's how most animal communicators teach it. I don't teach it that way. I teach a particular technique that's exclusively, I think, exclusively mine, or I developed it myself. I learned it from animals, and that's through a meditative practice. It's using a theta brainwave, which is a much more crisp and sharp brainwave. The thing is that in early stages, most people, what do? But on their way to the theta brainwave, you have to pass through delta. You go to sleep. So you have to learn, and it's a fine-tuned process of exchanging information on that frequency. Nonetheless, we all have it. It's impossible for anyone not to be able to do it with practice, skill, and application. And yes, sometimes it does require a detox, a physical detoxification. If you're going to McDonald's every night and drinking soda or diet soda and drinking, just eating processed food, it's going to shut those centers down more. So sometimes it does require a little physical detox as well. But energetic detox, that's the easy part. All right, now, the other thing is, of course, as I said, the energy center of the heart, which isn't just contained in the heart because everything's energetics. The whole body is energetics. And we all have this ability to open this heart center through the gateway. The gateway of opening the heart center is compassion, is care. The energetics of I care. If you've ever been around somebody who just doesn't care, you could tell. Have you ever been, I want to see this through the chat. Have you guys been around people? Oh, wow. A lot of people here. Have you ever been around someone who literally, you've been around them and you could tell they're just checked out. They just don't care. You're like around them and you're like, yeah, this person doesn't even care. I've been around people like that. I've been like, wow, it doesn't even matter if I stop talking. They're so checked out. I'm going to just see ya, kind of thing. Yeah, some people are saying family members. I get that. It's like if they're not anchored in the heart, it's like in my psychic development classes, this is where I say like their soul is hanging on by a thread. They're a lost soul because they're not in the body, right? Their heart center is not open. The soul has to anchor into the body fully, really, or to some degree to open that heart center. And then when you're around that person, and of course we know it with our animals, they care, they love, right? That's the energetics. So this is easy. It's impossible not to be able to do it. It's impossible not to be able to do it. It's just that it requires us to apply ourselves, to practice, and to put it into application. But everybody can do it, and the energetics of it is actually quite easy. From an energetics point of view, it's effortless. From an application point of view, which means applying it, practicing it, the practical skills that you develop over time through practice and application, that's the more challenging part. Like, if I didn't actually listen to the animals, and if I didn't start applying it and practicing it, it wouldn't have developed. So that's up to us too. That's where our free will to apply ourselves comes in. All right, so I hope this makes sense. I don't get to see all these comments, but I love seeing them coming through. Okay, I hope that's making sense. Someone wrote, I think someone wrote, FB shuts down the brain. Is that Facebook? Did you mean that? Facebook or fluoride? Anyway, Facebook does kind of, because what Facebook does is all electronics. What they do, Facebook is an intelligent program, so it's scanning your energy field when you have Facebook on, and it's reading your energy field, and it's watching your rapid eye movements, where your eye movements go on the screen to what matters to you, and it's going to feed you back more of that. It is an intelligent software in that sense, but it's still programmed. It's not artificial intelligence as true artificial intelligence. It's still a program. Anyway, I'm not sure if that's what you were saying. Okay. All right, so I want to go to, I would love to read all your comments, but I want to go to some of these amazing things that animals, I want to share some amazing stories of animals. And I also want to say something, what I wrote in some of the emails is that animals know your secrets. And understand that the reason that animals know your secrets is because they're 100% telepathic. So I want to share, I'm going to keep this completely anonymous. However, a really interesting story that happened just recently over the last couple of months, within the last, I don't know, maybe even month, because I lose track of linear time, but I was working with a friend, colleague, client, whose daughter had an animal who was secreting breast milk through the dog's, I guess those are called teats. And she went to the vet. I hope I have the story right, to get the vet to spay this dog, female dog. And that's when the vet discovered the milk coming from the teats. And the vet said to her, I can't spay this dog because the dog is pregnant. There's milk coming from the teats, and I can't spay a dog who's pregnant. You have to decide what you want to do. So she came to me and asked me to check in with the dog about possibly, aborting the baby. Like, she didn't know what to do. What should she do? What is for the highest and best? She's just wanting to know. And this is not even her dog. This is her daughter's dog. What should I do? Should I abort the babies? We were going to spay her. And by the way, she did tell me that there was a experience that the daughter witnessed and had to call 911 to help unlatch this dog. So the dog was, as far as the daughter knew, there was penetration with another male dog, and there was an intercourse, and there was a latching. So they knew all that. So I connect with the dog. I never met the dog in person. It was just through a picture, telepathically. And the dog said to me, okay, when I say said, but understand I'm a translator. What I understood from the dog was she believed that she was pregnant. She believed that she was pregnant, but she knew that she wasn't, and that something was off. And I'm communicating this. And all I kept getting was, she's not pregnant. I don't care what the vet says. She's not pregnant. And I don't care that she's getting nipples. And I don't care that I'm getting that she's not pregnant. And this is like, of course, contrary to what the vet said and contrary to what was witnessed. And then either I asked or she told me. I don't remember which came first, but it turns out that the daughter is pregnant. The daughter, who is the guardian of the dog, is pregnant. Now, isn't that fascinating? So the dog, this is what I realized through the telepathy. The dog is hearing the daughter, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. The dog picks up this telepathically, takes it on as true. I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. The body starts to demonstrate signs physiologically in the dog's body of being pregnant. Milk from the teats. The dog was not pregnant. So after I communicate this, within a few weeks, my friend, colleague, assistant, student, however we define, communicated to me later that the milk is gone. And by the way, I asked her, what was the point of, this was like a couple weeks later, what was the point when the latching happened with the male dog on the female dog? And she said, oh, that was like 13 weeks ago or 16 weeks ago, something like 3 months ago. I don't remember the timing. And I was like, well, of course she's not pregnant now, because she would have already had the babies. So in fact, the telepathy was accurate. Now, isn't that fascinating? That is a fascinating story. It's so fascinating. It's just recently happened. Now, yes, it was a false pregnancy. Someone made a comment about that. So this is the kind of thing that could really help if vets would start to incorporate. Can you understand if vets would start to use animal communicators as staff people? And I am 100% certain that this is going to be part of our future, that vets start to incorporate either it's already happening part-time. Vets already do it part-time. They might consult with an animal communicator. But I believe it's going to become much more mainstream as we evolve as a species, and we'll be able to work with telepathic exchange of information in more real and valid, substantial ways, in where we integrate the old reality of third dimensional existence, life as we have known it on planet Earth, with the future of where we're going, where we start to acknowledge animals as more intelligent, and that we can have intelligent dialogue with them that will not only help them, but that will also help us in these two-way communication exchanges. All right, that said, I want to share a couple of other amazing stories, and then I'm going to take some of your questions. I'm going to address some of your questions for readings. Okay, I want to tell you one of the most fascinating, amazing stories that I once had. This was in Costa Rica. So I was in Costa Rica, and I was just on my, I'm going to share something here. I was in Costa Rica, and I was doing a kind of retreat there. And the hotel where I was staying was this cute little, I don't know, so cute. And the woman knew that I was an animal communicator, and she had just adopted a baby pig. And she brought the baby pig to the hotel for me to communicate with. And I didn't really know that, because she spoke Spanish and I spoke English, and we didn't, she was a hotel person, so she had some English, but it wasn't very good. And that was her primary language, actually, was like from Sweden, I think it was. I don't remember. And then she had learned Spanish, because she was living in Costa Rica. And then she learned English like as a third language for her. So, and I'm not fluent in Spanish, or I think it was Swedish was her other one. So anyway, but I connect with the animal, and animals are not limited to an English, French, German, Italian, Swedish kind of language. They're speaking a universal language of energy, and depending on how you communicate and how you learn to communicate and develop the language with them, it's easily translatable into this universal language of energy. But nonetheless, I meet the pig, the baby pig, and the first thing, before the woman of the hotel even ask me anything, the first thing I start hearing from the pig is, where's my mommy? Where's my mommy? Do you know where my mommy is? Can you tell me where my mommy is? This is all I kept hearing. Do you know where my mommy is? Can you tell me where my mommy is? Where's my mommy? So I say to her, the pig wants to know where her mommy is. And she says to me, this is heartbreaking. She says to me, well, the mommy was just taken to a slaughterhouse. And I thought, well, how am I supposed to translate this to this baby pig? Like, what am I supposed to say? She's asking where her mommy is. So I get quiet for a minute and I now sidetrack the pig, but somehow I know the pig is in the conversation because they're so telepathically, but I go straight to a higher consciousness, higher source. Like, what am I supposed to say here? Ask the woman. So I go back to the woman and I'm like, well, is there any way this pig can say goodbye to her mommy? She wants to say goodbye. And the woman says, I think I might be able to pull that off. I think I might be able to orchestrate a goodbye. So I go back to the baby pig and I say, you know, your mommy is going to go on to a non-physical body. But I think that this woman you live with now who loves you can help you say goodbye to her in the physical body before she moves on. And this baby pig seemed to be content with that was helpful to her to understand. Now, in order for me to do that, you understand, I had to be already maintaining energetically a space of neutrality. I couldn't go into my judgment or my wrongness or the sadness of it. Yes, it's sad. But in order for me to be an effective translator, I had to know how to hold this kind of neutrality and how to bypass my energetic judgments and points of view about what's right or what's wrong or what's okay or what's not okay. I'm looking at my hair. I had to be neutral enough to be able to act as that kind of a facilitator. This is part of becoming truly effective at translating, a really awesome translator. We have to be able to do that. And that requires practice and application and a development of our own internal strength, our own internal nature. Because it's not like I wasn't sad. Of course I was sad. That's like, how am I going to do this? But I can't get into the sadness of it. Can't get stuck in that. Otherwise, I'm going to be ineffective at being of service here. So that's a good example of how animal communication can help, right? A little baby who doesn't really know, and another person who's in a foreign language. She doesn't even speak English. We're translating back and forth here between multiple languages, energetics, right? Okay, but we're all capable of doing this. All right, I want to give you another really amazing example, and that is, it does take practice. It takes practice and application. It means, if you're going to do it and you're going to learn, it means you really have to decide. You have to make a commitment. You have to decide that you really want to apply this practice and application. It's not a pill. I mean, our society has been really damaged by this pharmaceutical drug industry, that basically is teaching you, take a pill and get Claritin Clear. And suddenly everything will be nice roses and pretty pictures of dogs jumping over rainbows. That's just not the way it is. That doesn't really work. All that does is shut people down, right? Okay, that does not solve the problem. No pill solves the problem, whatever the problem is. And certainly no pill is going to be able to communicate energetically or develop our gifts to be able to be holding a neutral place so that we can be of service. That just shuts us down. All right, I'm not dissing when we need support from some form of, I don't want to go down that road because that's not what it's about. That's a separate conversation. I'm happy to go into that conversation, but for the purposes of our call today, I want to stay on target. I want to stay focused. So, all right. Another amazing, amazing example that I would love to share with you about animal communication. I once went on a safari with my family. It was a very 3D safari to Africa. And we were in South Africa, going through Kruger National Park. I believe that was the park. at the time. I was definitely in Kruger. It was an elephant park. We were going through a safari, and the tour was a month long, and it was very overall 3D kind of group. When I say 3D, again, I'm meaning mostly unconscious. They're not open, or even if they're open to this stuff, they're not practicing it. They're living in a 3D mentality of only the physical world. Nice people, but still, I'm a sensitive. I'm an empath, and I can feel everything around me. I'm so tuned in now. I've so developed my sense of my own body, my extrasensory abilities, that it's challenging for me to be in a bus for a month straight with a bunch of people who haven't processed through their stuff, because what ends up happening is I'm always feeling it and having to put up energetics or work with it or whatever it is that I'm called to at the moment. Or it's not about sitting there just enjoying it all the time. Like, I have to process through stuff that's floating around that people just haven't worked through. So anyway, we're on this one particular day on this Jeep going through Kruger, and we found elephants, and oh my God, so incredible, right? These elephants, they're just so magnificent. And I mean, you can get pretty close to these elephants. I mean, you can't get that close, but pretty close. Oh, I do want to say something. I got to make a note about this. The zoo, the LA Zoo. I want to bring that up. Los Angeles Zoo with the fires. Anyway, I connect with this elephant, and I mean, eye to eye. Eye to eye. You know, when I'm sure some of you have had these experiences where you're looking into the eye of an animal, and you absolutely know they're registering directly with you, especially like a wild animal. I've had this with whales too. When I've gone swimming with whales, I've had this with dolphins. When I've gone swimming with dolphins, incredible. But this elephant looked into my eye and knew everything about me. Like, through the elephant's eye, I saw into the elephant's eye what the elephant was seeing in me. It was as if this elephant revealed to me, it's what I would translate as life review when you cross over and you have a life review, which we're not going to go down that storyline today. But this elephant did a life review of my life in this elephant's eye, which was a female elephant, reviewed my life in an instant, had my whole story down, and showed me that she was reviewing. It was my Akashic records, if you understand the Akashic records. And I witnessed this elephant reviewing my life through her eye in my eye. It was like nothing I ever heard, and all I've heard, ever experienced. It was so profound. And this elephant said to me, I heard from this elephant, as I translated and understood, remember who you are. And I mean, my heart just filled up with tears, because now this elephant knew me. She knew me. She knew everything about me. And she was reminding me not to forget who I was in this tour, because it was incredible. It was just the most profound experience. Now, if you've ever experienced something like that, you know what I'm talking about. Now, when you can communicate with an animal on that kind of depth, life changes forever. Nothing is the same, because these animals, I mean, I would never have known. Now, let me tell you something about elephants. I used to volunteer with elephants in Thailand before I became a professional animal communicator. Did you share and start teaching the group that I was with? No, because they weren't as open to it. They weren't going to be able to receive that. I don't think I could even begin to share that. Like, this is a forum where you guys want to hear about that, but that was a tour of really 3D people. So no, I didn't. But anyway, so, okay, where was I going? Oh, so once you've had this I had a similar experience with a whale. And many similar kinds of experiences with dolphins, because as many of you probably know, I led dolphin journeys for 3 years where we swam with the dolphins. Those were incredible experiences too. But here's the thing. So once you learn how to connect at that kind of deep level with an animal, you realize the depth of what they're capable of offering, the depth of what they're capable of sharing, and the depth of how they're capable of healing us. Oh, I know where I was going. Yeah, with the elephants. So we all have the capacity to share this. It's just, it's a depth that's so rich and so profound and so real. It's not something you can always get with even with another human, even if you are in love. And you can get it with a human. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying it's a whole different range of perspective of what they have to offer, what they have to share with us, the depth of that kind of richness. So I want to say quickly that elephants are, as a kingdom, as a sub-kingdom of all animals, are, you probably have heard me say this, you know, they're massive brains. They are storing up the records of the history of humanity. So actually, if you want to learn about history, a really great place is to ask elephants, because elephants will never lie to us. And it is a fact. This is another conspiratorial thing, but it is true that we have been lied to about our history and about our ancestors and about what's happened on planet Earth. And one of the best ways to really find truth is by learning from animals, because they don't lie to you. They will never lie to you. They don't even have that written as a program into them. So that's fascinating. And if you're a truther, as I am, and you like to know higher truths and you want to expand your consciousness, learning from animals is a really great way to do that. So, all right, I'm going to share a couple more examples of what animals have shared, and then I want to take some questions. So yeah, someone saying, Andrea is saying, my guidance said the best way to help clean the ocean is to support the whales energetically, because they are the ones who have been here to clean the oceans. Absolutely true. Absolutely. Yeah, she's asking for more suggestion around that. Well, one thing is, of course, to learn animal communication and telepathy, which is part of what this is about, right? And if you go back to what we said earlier about energetics and sharing, I don't know if you were on for that part, but that I did kind of address some of that a little bit. Learning about telepathy and animal communication is a huge way, because of course we can connect with the whales. It's so easy to connect with whales and dolphins and any animal. They're so wide open and available to us. The challenge is for humans to get out of our egoic structures and our own filters and our own belief systems. Because, like I teach this in my animal communication class, if you, for example, see something like, this is a really good example, like a red ball in your mind, to some people they might perceive that a red ball means a dog wants to go out and play and throw a ball. To some people, they might see a ball as, oh, is his bed red? To some people, a red ball might be a ball of passion, and they might translate that as, you know, were you having sex in your bed last night? There's a lot of passion everywhere. To some people, a red ball might be a ball of red flames, which might translate as anger, or did the house burn down? You see, it can be translated in a million ways. What is a red ball? Some people, it could be a pool of blood. Did somebody get hurt? Is there a pool of blood? I'm seeing a pool of blood, but we don't know what the heck a red ball is. You know, in a level 1 class, you start to be able to see and perceive a red ball. I see and perceive a red ball. In a level 2 class, you start to be like, well, what does that red ball mean to this animal? What is he trying to say? What does that red ball mean? In a practicum, where you start to practice and apply, you understand, no. In this case, this red ball means this. This is what I'm translating. This is what I'm understanding. Then you start to understand how to validate that. Does it really mean what I see and perceive it to mean? Am I translating this effective animal? Verify it for me. Validate. Am I getting this right? Yes. No, that's not what I meant. You see, this is the practice and the application and the time that it takes to learn it. But my point is that as we learn and develop this, it's easy to communicate with animals. The issue is, are we effective translators? Are we really understanding how to translate what it is we're seeing and perceiving and getting and understanding? So yeah, through the development and practice, that helps, right? But whales, really easy to communicate with. Doesn't matter that they're in the oceans. You don't have to meet them. You can connect with the whole species of all whales. This is what I love to do. So I'm going to dovetail that. I want to give you a couple more examples of animals, but let me go over to the LA Zoo, speaking of collectives. As many people know, sadly, I mean, if we judge it, and it is sad, you know, it's sad. LA is experiencing, the LA, Southern California area, and even Northern California, of course. I mean, the whole West Coast is experiencing devastating forest fires, and these fires have now encroached into the city of Malibu, and indeed the LA Zoo was burned down. Fortunately, many animals were evacuated. I don't have the whole story, but I did ask for the collective, and this is what I got from the animals in the LA Zoo. Oh, I could even go to, remember that Cecil the lion? I spoke to him too. If I can go to that, I'll go to it. But the LA Zoo animals said, we wanted out. They weren't freeing us. It wasn't working. We were willing to die to get out. Animals don't want to be in zoos anymore. And humans have to reevaluate captivity. And the LA Zoo, if you've ever been there, I've been through there many times. I loved the zoo back when I would go, but that was because I was learning animal communication. This was even before I went to Maui. And I hadn't learned what I know now. I used to love the zoo before Maui because I loved animals. But after I really learned animal communication, I promised myself I would never go to a zoo or an aquarium or anywhere where animals were being kept in captivity ever again, because I would not support that. And we humans do need to learn. We are learning. This is not a way to treat such an advanced species. With species, kingdom, they don't belong in captivity that way. And dolphins, great example, are like, come swim with us. Our animals, our brothers and sisters in captivity in aquariums do not want to be in there. So come swim in the wild with us, please. Come with us, learn about us. We will come to you in the wild because we want you to see and to know that you can engage with us directly without having to put us in some kind of aquarium. And people will say, well, we can't afford it. Well, that's not really true. It's so affordable now. So possible. We need to move beyond our limitation. But I thought I would share that because I connected with the animals from the zoo, who many of whom perished, and what they said was, we would rather die than stay in captivity anymore, and we are not willing to continue that. And a lot of animals are, in some cases, willing to check out, you know, than to continue that old paradigm. And humanity is having to revisit this. How are we willing to treat animals? These beings are not subservient to us anymore. We're learning this, and this is why I think telepathy and learning energy is so important now, because we're all evolving. We have so much to offer. The animals will engage with us in all new ways that are so much more benevolent and enjoyable for all of us. So, okay, I hope, you know, I know that's upsetting, but at the same time, when we open up to understand the bigger picture about it, it's really helping us to learn and to grow. Okay, I'll mention Cecil. Remember Cecil the lion who was shot? And people were in so much uproar about that. Oh, that is interesting what Sue just wrote. She said, I heard a whale recording and heard the whale tell me its counterpart on Earth is the elephant. Totally true. Absolutely. I get that. That's fascinating. I never heard that. That's news, but I get it. Totally resonates as an accurate statement. Fascinating. Yeah, zoos are really unhappy. I wish I could read more of your chat because it looks so interesting and fun, but I want to go on. So, Cecil. Remember Cecil the lion who was shot by a hunter, and he was known as like the most benevolent. I connected with Cecil when he crossed over, and he was so peaceful. And he basically, I mean, I did some channeling. It's definitely in channeled stuff that's in a channeling I did. Where is that one sitting? It's in the class that I teach called Vibrational Energy Healing for People and Animals. It's in the membership too. Yeah, that's in the sacred membership as well. Well, in any case, what Cecil said, I'm paraphrasing through my communication, was that he really was on a mission to help people to learn more care and compassion for animals, and he was willing to let himself be, you know, sacrificed, so to speak, to kill, to wake up to the inhumanity of how humans are just, you know, for their own personal gain, shooting, and that he was being of service to expand consciousness about canned hunts in Africa, because a lot of those, you know, a lot of those centers in Africa where they let you come and pet the lions then the lions are given to canned hunts so that they're docile, they're made docile and unafraid of humans. And then some hunter goes and shoots down in it. And this is very sad, right? It's not to share that. It's more that to understand that the purpose of Cecil's mission was to help people to see how kind and compassionate and loving that lions could be, and then to show people, wake people up, that humans have to become more conscious about how we're interacting with these animals. And that was part of his mission. So, but he was quite benevolent. Okay, so, all right, I could go on. I'll give you one of my most fantastic stories, which was my first real, true animal communication validation story. And then I'm going to take a couple of quick, I'm going to tell you about the class that I'm offering, the course, and then I'll do a couple quick readings for some people. So from this point, what I would love, well, before I go there, let me tell you this story. This was when I knew. Some of you have probably heard the story because I've spoken about it a lot, but it's one of my favorite animal communication exchanges I ever did. I had been doing animal communication informally at this point for probably more than a little over a year, maybe a year and a half at this point when I did this, about what I'm about to tell you. I was living in Maui. I was already practicing animal communication. I had already been working as a dog trainer, even in Maui. But I wasn't doing animal communication professionally yet. I was practicing it. And I was on Craigslist in Maui. I don't know, I guess, what I was doing there, looking for furniture or something. And I came across something from somebody who posted something from the island of Oahu, a different island. And she was asking, well, I didn't even know it was a woman at that time, for help with an animal communicator. Does anyone know an animal communicator who can help me? So I wrote back to her and I said, hello, my name is Lori. You know, I'm an animal communicator, but I'm really brand new, relatively new at it. I've only been practicing for about a year. I'll do it for free as a gift to help you to the best of my ability. I can't promise anything, but I'll be happy to do my best to be of service. And if you'd like me to, send me a picture of the animal with his eyes or her eyes, and please don't tell me anything. Don't tell me anything at all. So she sends me a picture. I didn't even then know it was a woman, of a horse's head, a calf, a baby calf, and I can see the mommy's head, but I don't have the whole body. And I connect with this horse through the picture. And, you know, I always like to work with the eyes. At least back then, now I don't even really need it, but the eyes are, it is true, the window of the soul, into the soul. Anyway, that was what I had heard, and that's how I started. And no one trained me. I was never trained at this point in animal communication. And by the time I took animal communication classes, it was years later. And by that point, what the animal communication teachers were teaching, I felt like was so junior and so boring, ho-hum. I thought, oh my God, that means it's time for me to start teaching it, because I could teach it way better than this. But that's okay. That's my arrogance. I'm like that a little bit. So I think I'm a good teacher. But anyhow, so I connect with the horse, and I just keep hearing, go below the knee, go below the knee. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, because I can only see your eyes. And then I would hear in my head, like, I'm stumped. And I thought that was my thoughts. Like, I'm stumped. I guess I just am not getting anything. I didn't really feel very confident in what I was getting, because that was all I kept hearing. Go below the knee? What the fuck is that? I don't understand. I can't even see below the knee. I didn't get it. So I write back to this person, look, I'm really sorry. I tried my best to connect with this animal, and I'll tell you, all I keep hearing is to go below the knee, but I don't know what that means because I can only see the face, and I can't go below the knee. And I just keep hearing in my head, I'm stumped, and I think I'm just stumped on this one. I don't know. I'm really sorry, but if that's helpful, you know, there it is. And the person writes back to me and says, Lori, you're not going to believe this, but we had to amputate below the knee. And we think that what you're getting is something helpful. Can you please take another try and see what else you can get? And so at that point I was like, holy SHRT. Oh my God, I got something. So I go back and I connect with this horse again. It's a calf. And I'm looking at the horse through the eyes and I'm asking, like, what does that mean? And why is that so important to you? Because I didn't know. Can you please help me to understand you better? And the horse says, and I translate, there's bad people around me and they want to kill me because I have no leg. Tell them to go away. I want to live. And, oh, by the way, can you give me some more carrots? Tell them to give me some more carrots. So this was like a really cute, nice horse. So I go back and I tell the person that, and now we're exchanging more after that. And she's like, yes, this is my name. And you're absolutely right. We're not wanting to kill her. We're wanting to know what we should do, if we should euthanize her, because we just didn't know, like, could she live? What was right to do? And that was exactly right. And gave us exactly what we were looking for, exactly what we needed. And yes, we're going to give her more carrots. And yes, we're going to fit her for a prosthetic device and keep her alive. And after that, my whole world changed, because now I knew. I was like, oh my God, I'm really good at this. And I can really help animals, and I can help people, and I can use this. And I started incorporating it into all of my dog training clients. That became one of the benefits I gave them. And then as time went on, I started having clients who didn't really need the dog training, but they wanted the animal communication. And then it blossomed from there. A couple years later, I started taking classes, and that's when I started realizing I'm a better teacher than this. It's funny. So, okay, I want you to understand that story, and not to share my arrogance, because I don't mean it that way. I say, because I'm a very real, raw, authentic, just give you the whole thing person. But what I want to share with you really is that you will be amazed at how good you can be at it too, and how much you can help animals. And the things that you learn is just so profound and incredible. Will change your life and the lives of others too, and your own animals, because, like, I shared this one other story real fast. And that was that when my animal companion, Kenya, oh, I should have put a picture of her. Well, I don't have it with me. But I have pictures all over the house, but it would mean I'd have to get up and walk away. When she crossed over, I was heartbroken. You know, that was what basically made me leave Maui. She died right before I left Maui. And she healed me. I remember when I got to Maui, I heard at one point in my head from my guides. I was working with angels at that time and guides. And one of my guides said to me, your dog Kenya's going to heal you. And I was too small-minded back then. I did not understand what I know now. You know, I didn't understand what that meant. I just didn't know. So I was like, oh, that's nice. You know, okay. I didn't really understand. If I knew that, what I know now, I would have said, what do I need to do so she doesn't have to heal me? What do I need to change so she doesn't have to heal me? Because we don't have, they will always feel what they feel, what's in their environment, but if we heal ourselves, they don't have to heal us. So anyway, I didn't know that, and it's certainly my dog ended up healing me. I was going through a divorce. My brother had died. I was changing careers. I was separating from my family, who was at that time you know, enforcing their will on me that I should be in corporate America enslavement for the rest of my life, dying a slow death, which is what I was doing prior to that time in Maui. And when I broke free from the marriage, I was angry and I was upset and I was mad that my family was enforcing their will on me, and I was trying to break free, and I was trying to make my life matter and do something good with it before I just died like my brother did of an, you know, I was angry, and she took on the cancer. My dog got cancer. And I didn't understand that they feel our anger. They feel what we feel, and they love us so much they will take it on. So understanding how energetics work can heal your animal companion and can heal, prevent something like that from ever happening. But anyway, after my animal Kenya crossed over and I connected with her, this is what I came to realize, was that she also said to me, this will hopefully be a little lighter, but maybe it's not. This is when I learned all that. I didn't know what was going on during those 2 years in Maui. I didn't understand that that's what was happening. 2.5 years in Maui. But anyway, after she crossed over, she said to me, Lori, Mommy, she's called me Mommy. Mommy, I never liked the dog food you gave me. I never was happy with my food my whole life. I was never happy with it. I was always so bored with the food you gave me. I was not satisfied. Tell people to feed their animals fun, exciting foods that are real, raw pet foods, and give them healthy supplements and appropriate nutrition that is as rich and enticing and flavorful and exciting as the foods that you eat. Obviously, we never give our dogs chocolate. We don't give our dogs alcohol, or our cats or any of our other animals. But the point is that this was something she taught me in the afterlife. You can connect with animals in the afterlife too. When she told me that, it was heartbreaking for me, but I really learned so much from her about food for our animals. I learned so much about what animals want and need. And I learned so much about energy and how to regulate and work with energy and transmute energy and heal. And, you know, Kenya, even in the afterlife, was teaching me and still does. And your animals can heal and teach you, and so many things you can learn from them. They know your secrets. That's what I mean by that. So, okay, I hope this is all helpful.